Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke. Thank you for joining. Today is going to be a different video. So if you're new here, usually I talk about house plants. Usually I'm talking about my house plants or doing a DIY on my shorts, but today we are going to be making over a giant pothos that I have. So I bought this at Home Depot quite a few weeks ago and I just plopped it into my office. This is where I'm standing and it's right over here. And this is a disaster, but yeah, it's just sat there. I watered it yesterday for the first time in like a month and it's been doing fine. Like, it's not caused any issues. Pothos are great if you are a plant neglector or you just want a plant to sit in a lower light situation. So this is an east facing window. No, this is a north facing window. I think I got that wrong in my last video. It's a north facing window. And so it gets very little light. There is a house directly across from us, so it blocks a lot of the light. That's why I put these grow lights up. If you missed that video, you can go back and check it out. But anyways, I want to do something about this. I actually listed it on OfferUp for sale because I just don't know what to do with it, or it just is sitting there and it's not doing anything. I felt like I could get rid of it. I got it for $20, so it was a pretty good deal. And I was just going to resell it for $20. But then I started looking at it and thinking, what if I just added a moss pole to it and really made it its own? So let's turn around. So here's the plant, and it is large, like it's full. It's a nice plant. There's some browning there because, again, probably lack of humidity, lack of me watering it. But I just want to get it off this trellis. I don't really love trellises. I don't think that they adhere in our home situations as well as they do in nurseries per se, but I am going to put it on a moss pole because I have had great experience with that in the past on all my plants that I have on moss poles. So yeah, this is huge. This leaf is huge. It's gotten ripped. And it has larger leaves down here, but we are going to take this outside and repot it and build a moss pole. So let's see what we can do. If you saw my last video, I made a moss pole for my philodendron melanochrysum and I attached it to the actual pot. So I'm going to repot the pothos in this and attach the moss pole to the bottom. But in order to do that, I need to create some more holes. So we are gonna drill. Okay, so I've drilled a few more holes just down here so where I can attach the moss pole to it. And then we will make our moss pole. We're all here. So we're taking our hardwire mesh and we are going to create probably like what, 3-foot pole. So metal cutters. And I'm just going to assume we're just going to make it really large because it will grow fast. And there are a lot of vines, so maybe I should make it even taller. We have everyone here. So here is the hardwire mesh all cut out. This is for, I'm going to say, how tall is this? How tall are you, Rolling? It's like 5 feet tall. Okay. So we're not going to leave it this long, but this was only a 2-foot by like 50-foot hardwire. To cut this down to probably like a 2-inch to 2 inches. 2 inches wide, 2-inch moss pole. I'm going to zip tie it all the way up a little bit more, and then because this is a larger space for the moss that I can actually fit it into. Unlike the other moss poles, the smaller ones, I would suggest zip tying as you go up because it's a smaller space and it's more difficult to get the moss into. This is the moss that I'm using, just at lows. Cutting, 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 cutting. So we're going to pause from that moss pole and take a look at this pothos. So my husband got it all out and it actually looks pretty good. The dog, it's hilarious. Anyways, the root system looked to be in good condition. Now it didn't have as many roots as I expected for a plant of this size, but it's also typical of a plant like this. So we are going to untangle it and set it all up. Well, let's go back to the moss pole. So we have this hole kind of made up and we are going to stick moss in it. So I have my moss, I'm wringing it out, and I keep the top, well, I'm going to have to keep a lot of this clear of moss actually because the pot is much deeper.
I didn't explain that very well, but usually I keep the bottom portion of the moss pole clear so that I can place soil into the bottom part of it. That way it sits nicely and the moss is not in the soil mix, because I personally don't like that. So yeah, I keep the bottom portion, however deep the pot is, clear of any sort of sphagnum moss. And if you do want a clearer picture of how to create a moss pole, I have a video specifically about this, so go check that out.
We are attaching the moss pole in this to the bottom of the pot. Okay. Okay. There we go. And it's hooked in nicely.
So now that I have the moss pole hooked in, I am going to attach a bamboo stake to the back to keep it stabilized, and then I am going to fill just a quarter of the pot. Then I can place my plant into it, and from there I will just backfill with soil.
This is how far we've gotten. We got it potted up.
Yep, guys.
It's all in there. Moss pole is all nice. Added a bamboo stake to make it more sturdy. This is attached into the pot. So now we just need to configure all of these onto the moss pole. So here is the pothos. It's only been a day and it is already drooped severely. So I need to get it watered, but this is what we're dealing with. I'm going to try and take all of these vines and put them onto the moss pole. So we will see how that goes. This is a weird angle, but really just wanted you to see the moss pole. So I think I said in the video yesterday that the aerial roots from the bottom, like the closest leaves to the bottom, probably aren't going to adhere into the moss pole. Usually those just go dormant, and because they're old and they haven't been used. So I am really looking to attach the ones more towards the top. So all of this lovely mess right there will stay that lovely mess. Then I'm just going to bring in these new vines. So let's see here. We will clip things in and then we'll fix it.
This guy was very difficult to untangle. They had so many vines, and some of the vines were actually attached around themselves. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like they had grown aerial roots into the soil, so it was really wound up in there. I did finally get it all untangled, and I had to cut some of it off because, number one, the plant wasn't doing great to begin with. It was dying towards the top. The leaves were smaller, so I wanted to chop it back to the nice full leaves so that it had a chance to grow. So I did that, and then I attached the vines from there onto the moss pole. I also had to do that because the moss pole was not tall enough. The vines were so long, and I cut a lot of it off to propagate.
So after all of that, this is what we are left with. Got the newer part up there all the way down. I'm going to just keep this bushy. Yes, it needs watered really badly right now. So I am going to water it and hopefully they will all perk back up. And this leaf is like crushed. So that is what was cut off. It's actually not much, as much as I thought was going to be cut off. But we'll see how this guy does.
Okay, so here is the end result. It looks a little sad and dilapidated at the moment. I actually purchased these hair clips for $2 at Walmart, and I'm going to replace the string with these because they did not have plant Velcro tape or anything like that. So this is it. It just got watered. This will all hopefully perk back up and be great. I will make sure to keep this chunky moist. Oh my gosh, this chunk moist here. But what I'm hoping is that this new growth specifically right here will adhere in. And then I know this guy I cut in 2 places. So the new growth down here, I cut as well in both places. So once these become new, they will adhere in and hopefully be great and fill that space. And then whatever is down here, I'll slowly add it to the pole as well as it grows. So then I also added my little Sansy grow light. So I did this from a $5 cover pot or basket, whatever you want to call it, at the Target bullseye section a while ago, and I just couldn't figure out a setup for it. I wanted it over my Monstera in our living room, but it didn't work out. So I put it here. I have very much, whoops, I have really rigged this in the not most appealing way, but it's okay because we are not allowed to nail or screw into our walls. So these are hung up by these little like no nail things. So we'll see how long that stays there. But that is this. That is the end of this Pothos makeover. We'll see how it does. This is probably going to change because let's just back up. This is how it looks, and it's very chaotic. I just redid all of these shelves not that long ago, which they still look okay. But up here is getting cluttered again. Yeah, it looks a little chaotic. It looks a little too much for my taste, but we're just gonna stick with it. It'll be great. We'll see how it does. So, okay, so it's a couple days later, actually maybe even a week later, I have no idea. And I was just sitting on this setup for a bit because I changed things around. I couldn't deal with the box and all of that stuff there, so I kept the grow light where it was, but I moved the Pothos to this corner. I moved my Thaumatophyllum underneath the grow light because it needs more light. There's a thunderstorm happening right now, so this room is extremely dim, but it doesn't get that much light in general. So I moved that guy there and put my Pothos there. Now again, it's been a couple weeks. I had a lot of leaves die off, which is normal if you have a large established plant like that you're chopping up, you're putting back in a new soil and all of that. So it was to be expected. I didn't expect it to be that much. Like, you can see how bare this is now, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna let it sit and grow, and hopefully it will take off and become established and happy where it is. I do need to water this. It's dry. But yes, that is my new setup over here. It is much better. It feels more open now with all of my shelving and everything. And I also moved my Esqueleto in here as well to hopefully get some light from the window and from the Sansi light. So that is this 3-week, I feel like, journey of getting this guy back to life or in a happier spot. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it to take a not so looking great plant, make it a little bit not so great looking. But anyways, take a plant that maybe you don't like, reformat it a little bit if that wording verbiage makes sense to you. But hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe for more. The cat, of course, is up here sitting underneath the light. So thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe so you can see more of all of this awesome videos. Thanks guys, see you later.